We've seen kinky being brought to the chamber. We have seen loaves of bread in the past. And now we have seen a pot of cocoa or pods of cocoa on the tables of members of parliament. At a point, it became very rowdy, but essentially, eventually the speaker managed to control the house, the speaker whom they call Father or Father. The president delivered over 2 hours of an address to the nation through the people's representatives in parliament. And you've heard the reactions from the minority and majority leaders. The minority leader serving notice that they will give the state of the nation, the true state of the nation address on Monday. Let's talk about what the state of the nation really is then, based on what the president has said and what the realities are on the ground. Do they tally? Do they marry? Let me introduce my panelists in studio. And I have one person who advised and warned that we were going to have a haircut in this country, he and his brother. And the government at the time said there will be no haircut. I remember President Akufo-Addo, I think he said it in the State of the Nation address that there will be no haircut. Well, the haircut has happened. He's a Chief Executive Officer of Daylex Finance, and his name is simply Joe Jackson. Joe, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
How is Tema?
Tema is good, though. Tema is... We have to deal with the motorway. That's the tough
but they are working. I want to be angry, but I see them working.
No,
so it's.
I live in Tema, and I'm not angry.
Okay, you're happy.
I'm at peace.
You have hope.
I have hope. Listen, you see them working each day. Is it tough? Yes, but you see them working. You can't complain, and you see progress.
But the beach road is supposed to be an alternative. Why do people avoid the beach road?
Because it was started and never completed. It was the parts, you won't believe, there are parts of the beach road that were a dual lane that for some reason have been closed, and I used to sell cars. This is Ghana.
Okay, so that is Tema. Good morning and welcome. How is the finance sector? Daylex, you sell finance, you sell money.
We sell money. The financial sector is doing well.
Is it?
It is. If you look at
for you alone or for everybody?
Even better for the rest of the the commercial banks.
They say Nkoyo.
Oh no. Look at the numbers they are reporting. You have medium-sized institutions reporting hundreds of millions of profit for last year. It can't be that bad. Let's be honest. Listen, if you don't say thank you to the Lord for good things, He will take it away from you. So I'm the first to say, listen, those of us in the financial sector, no, there are pockets of problems. Let's not be.
So when there are problems, you acknowledge them, but for now, you think things are good?
The atmosphere is good.
Okay.
It is, if you have problems, it is time to fix your problem.
Very well. Let me go to the Upper West region. There's a constituency called Lambusi. Is it Lambusie or Lambusi?
Lambusie.
Lambusie. It used to be Lambusie Kani, or there was no Kani inside.
It was.
And they changed the name.
They changed it, yeah.
This man, you know, members of parliament do deliveries in parliament and then people talk about them. This week I was at lectures and I kept watching social media. So many people commending Professor Titus Bayo, former medical practitioner turned politician, former association leader, former union leader, Ghana Medical Association secretary turned politician turned MP. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Have you seen the people celebrating you on social media for your delivery in the house this week?
Yeah, I have, and I've received comments that are most humbling from very senior people in the country and from the rank and file within the country, from across the aisle. And I think that the lesson that I've learned from it is that people want the truth. People want us to communicate things as they are and not to wear the political lens, because some things must transcend partisan politics, and one of them is what we're dealing with.
I saw the minority leader applaud you.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for you to get the opposition leader to applaud you. And I saw Phyllis Kwachu-Fosu write on social media celebrating you and saying that this will, in fact, let me read that and this is me being happy for you. Phyllis Kwachu-Fosu is the Minister of State in charge of Government Communication. He said, Professor Titus Bayo held me spellbound in Parliament today with what can easily pass as one of the greatest contributions to parliamentary debates in Ghana's history. Do whatever you can to watch it, or the footage of his contribution. What did you say that made people so happy? You didn't do politics?
No. So let me say hello to my
you
people.
came to insult your fellow doctors?
No, I didn't. So all that I said was to bring some education to Ghanaians using Parliament as a forum on what the no bed syndrome actually means.
Okay.
But many people just assume that when we say there's no bed, it means there's no physical bed.
Okay.
And I've heard people telling me, then I want to buy a bed
and
carry there, or when I'm coming, I can bring my own bed and all of that. So I really explained what no bed meant across all hospitals in Ghana, having worked through the system for several years,
okay,
and then propose some solutions.
Just a disclaimer, you and I don't live in the same house, and our smokes looking alike is just a coincidence. I'm quite surprised. If you have another color, can you please go to your car and go and change, because I don't like this.
I want to associate with you.
People think we are twins, and I'm not liking this at all. But at least I have a blouse and a hat. You just have a blouse. So
this cannot be a blouse now.
Have you been to Zambia?
Oh, the Zambians helped us so by propagating this for us.
No, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just
but there's a lot of difference.
Are you sure?
Significant difference.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't have anything. Is it red or pinkish?
Mine is from Gonjaland. Where is yours from?
Mine is from proper Dagao land.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay,
so it's different.
This one where you have to be sipping Tito. let me bring you.
But it didn't allow me to greet my constituents.
Please, if on condition that you greet them in, what language do you speak?
I speak Dagari.
So,
and I speak Sisali. These are the two dominant.
Okay, so greet them in Dagari.
In Dagari. So Neke Nizani Ansuma Nizami Negabesun Barka Nakumavuona. Thank you.
Barka. And Dagari is the language of the people known as Dagaba, even though people say Dagati, which is offensive.
No, yeah.
Singular is Dagao, plural is Dagaba. They speak Dagari from Upper West region. And their favorite delicacy, don't quote me, dog meat. They like to eat that a lot. Their competitors are the Fafras in Upper East region. Dankanamwa is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. You are welcome.
Sanda, thank you.
How is the price war between Star Oil and Goil going? It seems that we've stopped talking about that thing. Is it that the petrol is becoming expensive now?
Well, it's going up, so the war would subside a bit. It's when it's coming down that everybody wants to. But even when it's also going up, you have a situation where they try to absorb some of the differentials, okay, so that they don't pass everything fully to the market. For me, it is the healthiest competition you would find anywhere on the planet, where companies serving the public decide that, look, we'll go with the public. And commendations to Star Oil. When it began, even on socials, I was wondering if they would last, really. Because most of the time, if you did a price comparison, you saw almost a 1 Ghana city gap between usually Star and a few other stations and some other bigger stations. But as it stands, the bigger ones are becoming aware that the Ghanaian is quite conscious and rational and would go for where they get better pricing. And so I'm happy that that war has been fueled, and it's
for the betterment
of the consumer. And
we'll come back and talk about, because the minority in slamming the government yesterday said that there's 1 CD levy on petrol. They've also talked about, they said that electricity tariffs have been increased by 25 to 30%, and in practice is over 100%. We'll talk about that. Let me go via Zoom, and we are joined also by Richard Ahiagba. Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communication of the New Patriotic Party. Richard, you are welcome. You're supposed to be in the studio. Where are you?
Umaru, sorry about that. I was delayed. And
sorry, I can't hear you. Control, if you can let me hear Richard Ahiagba, please.
Yes. Umaru, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I was apologizing to your good self, my fellow panelists, and your viewers for not being in the studio. I was delayed and missed a flight. And so I spoke with Fred earlier to permit me to join remotely. So thank you for indulging me.
Very well. I hope you are fine. The week is good.
I'm well, except the state of the nation has created some distortions and some inaccuracies that we need to address.
No. I'll give you a chance to do that. Thank you so much for joining us. Rashid Ahiagba is Director of Communication of the New Patriotic Party. Franklin Kujo is President of Imani Africa. Do I have Franklin? Very well. We'll be joined by Franklin later. So let's start off. Joe Jackson, you watched the president deliver the State of the Nation address yesterday. And I trust you to be an independent mind on this matter. I've engaged you on the financial sector of Ghana for many years. And I trust a lot of the things you say because I know you know them. You sat there and watched the president for 2 hours plus speak. What feeling did you have?
Listen, first of all, it was a self-congratulatory speech on stabilization. But no one can begrudge them the congratulation. Listen, if I had been in Parliament, I would have been applauding too.
Really?
Yes. Listen,
was that good?
Some of the... Now, let's be clear. I'm talking strictly about stabilization.
Are you not sure you were wowed by the oratory and that's what you fell for?
No. The numbers are clear. Listen, inflation has collapsed. You can say, I've heard people say the numbers have been manipulated. I really don't believe so. We've had consistently very good statistics coming out of the Ghana Statistical Service. Numbers that all of us are starting to rely on. And this started not only in this regime, in the previous regime. The numbers are good and they tell a good story. The currency, however you slice or dice it, it was 15. It is now 10. Now, we could have a whole discussion on whether 10 is a good number or not. But it has appreciated. And listen, there's physical discipline. And one of the things that we have to realize is this. When the IMF steps in, it looks at a country and it looks at what they call the primary surplus. And that can sound like a fancy economic term. It just simply means when I take out what you're using to service the debt you have already, for today, what you earn and what you spend, is there some left to service your debt? Which means you are not piling up more debt and you are able to come out of the situation you have in. That primary surplus has been maintained. It is a signal of discipline that we are living within our means. So, those numbers, you can't dispute them. So if somebody comes and says, listen, this is where I was before, this is where we are today, we have stabilized the economy, we have brought back discipline, we have brought back confidence, investors are looking at us again, all I can say is thumbs up, you're right.
But the minority leader said primary balance near BD. Exchange rate near BD.
That's unfortunately.
Deficit near BD.
Unfortunately, I think that is taking a very serious issue and making it trite. We had declared bankruptcy. The term Ghana is broke was no more something somebody is frightening you with. It was clear cut. We're transferred with a gun to their heads, a huge chunk of money from the middle class to government to help pay our debts. We had asked foreigners who had lent us money, pension funds, etc., to take a haircut. We were all over the place. Stabilization started in 2024, to be clear. But it was accelerated. Discipline was brought in 2025. It was like night and day. So when you are talking about the state of the nation, from when he took over and had the last state of nation to today, it has improved. When you talk, listen, there are major issues to be considered. And one of the issues is whether the the improvement is being felt by the ordinary Ghanaian. One of the issues which we all have to understand is this: the fact that inflation has crashed doesn't mean prices have gone down. All it means is that instead of pondering on a price increase every time you go to the market, now your price increases happen at decent intervals. Instead of pondering whether is life hard and harder each time you go to the market, now stabilization means that life is hard, but it is consistently hard. but that's, and looking forward, there are some questions we must ask. That as we enter 2026, how are we going to translate all these fantastic macroeconomic numbers into an improved standard of living for the ordinary Ghanaian?
A few things. The minority leader again, and forgive me for using him, but he's a chief critic of the government in Parliament.
And he was the lead spokesman.
Yes, he said that the successes that are being celebrated now were a bedrock built and left behind by their government. Based on what you know, did it look like, or does it look like this government is reaping from what the MPP sowed?
No, absolutely not.
It's not true.
It's not true. Did stabilization of some sort start in 2024? I'll be the first to tell you, yes, we could. Listen, at least through 2024, the currency was kept fairly stable around 15. Right? We had dropped from the heights of 17, etc., and we had dropped to 15, and it was kept fairly stable. But some of the improvements that we have seen, it comes from pure discipline. And
so it's leadership.
It's no. Let's call a spade a spade,
and not a shovel,
and not a tool for
a big spoon for eating sand.
No. Listen. On one hand, when we talk about discipline, look at how did interest rates come down? It came down because somebody said, I will not take money if it goes above a certain ceiling. I will only take as much as I need, or as much as I'm offered within the band that I have. It's easy to forget that in 2024, 2023, when we go to T-bill auctions, we go like this: give me everything that is available. That's discipline. We complain that the government is not paying, but that is discipline. You see, when you are broke and you're coming out of being broke, you cannot pay everybody who comes to you, knocking on your door and says, give me money. Whether you owe them or not, you must negotiate. Some of it you must play hard, because you must signal to investors that this country, I'm borrowing somebody's words, is ready to play.
So the success we are seeing is not a coincidence. It's a deliberate government effort that led us here.
Yes.
It's not as if God has been kind to us this year.
God was kind to us. Let's be also clear.
Okay.
What has happened? Why the success has been so dramatic is that God was kind to us. There were good winds blowing. The price of oil came down. So our biggest import dropped. The price of gold went up. So our biggest export gained value. Our reserves gained value. But you see, if you don't have discipline, you will not be able to take advantage of favorable winds. The wind may blow you in the right direction, but you must adjust your sail to catch it in full. So what we have is a situation where the winds were favorable. God was kind to Ghana. Let nobody ever be confused. God was kind to Ghana in 2026. Right? The harvest was good. In fact, some would say even too good, such that the farmers are complaining. So some of the problems we had were in 2024, there was a famine up north and serious hunger. It had gone away. But you have to be able to take advantage of these things.
So for you, the State of the Nation as delivered yesterday by the president, where he said everything was good, but we are even just he said Ghana is back. You agree?
I won't say everything is good. I'll say Ghana is back.
Okay.
I agree with the statement, Ghana is back. We've talked about jobs being created, right? I'm not sure about the numbers exactly, but jobs have been created. But are those jobs sustainable, earning good income? Those are some of the questions we must ask. But have jobs been created?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Even on the biggest whipping boy, cuckoo, right? And I'll be the first to tell you that we need serious reform with SOEs, starting with the cocoa board. Start going on to cocoa marketing and PBC and all the other. And I'm even worried about spending the public purse on trying to revive these institutions. But the most important thing is this. Reuters yesterday seems to report that just maybe Ghana's cocoa producer price is higher than Cote d'Ivoire's producer price. Now, this is Reuters. This is not some argument being made locally. So, all of a sudden, we start to see that maybe things are not being as bad as they are. There are challenges. Listen, we were at rock bottom. We've stopped digging. We were in a big hole. We've stopped digging. And there's hope that we are coming out of the hole. But we are still not out of the woods yet.
Very well. Professor Titus Bayo, your party leader and president of the land delivered the address yesterday. You sat there, you've heard Joe Jackson. He seems to agree with you with the president on a lot of fronts. But you would also agree that the cocoa matter was a big spectacle, and the minority used the opportunity yesterday to reinforce that, and they say that despite everything, the cocoa farmer is crying. Taking 1,000 cedi from them is a big deal.
Interesting. It is a big deal, and I will come to that. But I will just say that for me, my assessment of the state of the nation is perhaps summarized in the first few paragraphs that His Excellency delivered. And if you permit me, I'll quote one of them. And he stated that I stand before you to speak to another such defining moment, a moment of rebound, of national renewal, and restored hope in our country's history. This moment is being shaped by hard choices, institutional resolve, and renewed commitment to stability and national purpose. If you listen to His Excellency yesterday, and you listened as a neutral person, and you are not wearing political shades that blind you, he came across as a leader who really understands exactly what is happening, and one who has come to tell us the candid truth and to inspire us. You asked whether things were just aligning, was it a deliberate effort, or what has happened. God has been merciful to us, and I couldn't agree better with my senior here. But in addition, just as His Excellency said, the building that this year's State of March celebration, the theme is building prosperity, restoring hope. Restoring what? Hope and building prosperity. And he says that this theme is what is the blueprint that guides his administration's vision and action. Everything this administration has done is to restore hope in the country, to give us hope that we can get out of where we were, a state of hopelessness, a state of despondency, a state where even high-end professionals had given up on the country, and we're leaving this country in droves.
Are you sure?
I'm telling you. I'm coming from the medical field, and I can tell you,
brain drain.
Prior to that, the type of brain drain we experienced was brain drain where very young graduates from medical school left this country in search of education, in search of money, in search of other things. During the haircuts that we had, and we saw our professors picketing for their pension money, the trend reversed. You saw people at my level of qualification moving with their family. That was never heard of before. That you see a consultant, a specialist, deciding to leave the country.
Leave or run away?
Well, you may choose the correct word. In our parlance, we say the person has japa. And what's happening? So this is the situation that we find ourselves. But let me just tell you that the issue of the cocoa, which our friends sought to talk about, again, if they listen to His Excellency well, he said we have to make difficult choices, hard choices. That is a mark of leadership. These hard choices is what they failed to do in a lot of instances, and went for populism, went for what would please the masses, until it landed us in a ditch. At the beginning, you stated when they said we are not going to IMF, yet we're going there. We are not going to go a haircut, and we went. We didn't just do a haircut, we did a head cut, because people died from this. Do you understand? So when His Excellency is faced with a situation, he comes candidly to explain to the people. The summary of this whole cocoa thing, I'm not a financial expert in everything, is that, and I want every cocoa farmer listening to me to appreciate it. We are truly sorry that we've had to take that money away. But was it necessary? It was necessary. It's a difficult decision that we have to do. The summary is that we come and buy the cocoa from you. We go and sell it on the global market at a certain rate and give you some profit, and we also make something from it. Now, the person that we go to sell it to, the price there has dropped significantly. The denomination in which we sell it has also dropped significantly. What essentially it means is that when we buy from you and we go and sell at a very low rate. We can decide to be in a state of delusion and tell ourselves we will also pay you the high amount, and therefore borrow money from somewhere and pay you. And you'll be happy. By the end of the day, we will all suffer. The whole nation will suffer. In reality, if you look at it, the global price has come down. The dollar to CD exchange also means that how much you bring in has also gone down significantly. The farmer's expectation has not been met, but the real value of what a farmer gets, the real value, what that money can be used for, in the face of all these indicators that the financial experts are mentioning, may not have been so badly hurt. So you were expecting, we said that, look, we can give you 70% of whatever we go and sell. That 70% per our calculation could have been around 7,000. Now we are giving you close to 90% of what we actually go and sell. But unfortunately, the global sum had come down because of the two factors I've talked about. So we've given far more than we wanted to give you, but in reality, as far as you are concerned, what has come into your hands is insignificant. It's not what you expected. It is the reason why we say we are sorry. But we have to tell you the truth, that this is for our common good. Maybe he can explain it better in the financial term, but in summary, layman language, this is what it is.
You can't sell for more than, you can't pay for more than you can sell
it will only mean maybe we go and print more money at the Bank of Ghana, like what they did, and just add on. What do you know what we are doing? I said this elsewhere. It's like your father goes to borrow money. You tell your father you are hungry at home. He borrows money to come and give you. You say, Daddy, I need a bicycle. He goes to borrow more and get you a bicycle. Daddy, my friends have a motorbike or a vehicle. Then he borrows money to do it for you. At the end of the day, he makes you happy today, but you will suffer tomorrow, because he has told all those people you are coming to pay that debt. This is what they were doing to us.
Okay.
So I think we should appreciate the sincerity of His Excellency in this presentation, and the facts speak for themselves. There is nothing more than that. And when we decide to delve into the various aspects of it, we would. The other thing I'll say is that my president yesterday spoke as a nationalist, and I like that. And he spoke as an African leader. He talked about the Accra reset, and then our own national reset agenda, and the fact that our prosperity is inseparable from the prosperity of the whole of Africa, and for Africa to think of itself. And one thing that touched me there was that no single African country, no matter how well endowed, can thrive alone in this new global world. Okay. And that's a fact. And he says we must come together. The global south requires a deliberate and disciplined plan, one that begins with unlocking the immense human and creative potential of our young people, which is true, we have them. We must unlock it. strengthening our regional value chain to add value to what we produce, mobilizing domestic capital to finance our own development. And I can tell you, one of such is our health sector.
I'll let you come to health sector, but on macroeconomic, that's good.
Yes.
But the ordinary man was mentioned, and we are told that the ordinary man is not benefiting.
So,
and that if you go to Lambusi, for instance,
good.
The ordinary man there who may be a teacher in your basic school is not benefiting from these big percentages that we are mentioning in Accra.
So let me tell you, while I was this, I just put up a message on my constituency platform that they should give me real figures on the ground. In Lambusi, I'll not say all is good. People are feeling the impact of these big figures, positively and negatively. I'll tell the positive and I'll tell the negative. I'll be very honest. The positive is that today in Pina market in the central town of Lambusi, an olonka of maize is going for 8 cedis. Prior, it was around 25. At some point, it went up to 35. There was a time I made news when parents were asked to go and buy an olonka of maize each for their wards to bring to Pina Secondary School to feed their children. I would send them 25 bags to survive the hunger that free SHS was giving to the students. And at the time, a bag of an olonka of maize was around 25 cedis.
Is 8 cedis now?
8 cedis now.
Please, how much does it cost to transport a sack from Lambusi to Accra?
We can do the business.
Wow.
You know, and if you take even the yellow maize, as of today, is 6 cedis. The bad side of this, and I'll be very honest with it, to my farmers, is that for the ordinary person going to the market to buy, you will get. But to the farmer, is that the price has come down so much that they are complaining. So a bag of maize, this same maize that used to sell around 650, in some places 700 Ghana cedis, is now being sold for 250 Ghana cedis. And yet, no, they are not getting buyers. Everybody has enough to eat at home, and so they are not getting buyers. And so we are counting on this national buffer stock that they had decided they were going to give them the money to go and buy. I know about 300 million had been allocated to them. They were going through some procurement process. I'm appealing to whoever it is in charge. When that is finally made, I want some of those people to come to Lambusi and to our enclave. Sisala East, Sisala West, Lambusi, these areas are huge maize growing communities. Sorghum, you will find them there a lot. Soya bean. Come and buy, put in the national buffer stock silos, and then we use during a period of starvation. But so this is the picture on the ground. Okay. If you tell me that people on the ground are not feeling it, I'll tell you, we know how much we used to buy fuel and how much we are buying it now. We know how much we used to buy beverages and drinks like beer and how much we are buying it now. We know how much what we have not really felt. And I said this the other time. It's something like how the size of Kenke is. You know, looking at the reduction in the cost of maize, we expect that a 5 CD bowl size of Kenke now should have come down to like 2 cedis. But you're not feeling that aspect of it. And these are, I think, is a Ghanaian mentality that when prices go up, they hardly come down. And so people cash in and people are trying to do a wait and see. It's almost a year plus, it's going to 2 years. They should realize the real change and let it translate down.
Okay. I'll come back for another round in the studio. Duncan, I'll come to you, but let me hear from Richard Anyagba. Richard, I don't know where you are in the country. Did you watch the State of the Nation? It sounds like everything is uhuru here.
Well, we thank God that they think so, but it is not. For us, on Main Street, Ghana, it's not. But let me just engage from where my brother started about cocoa. They can scream and stress every word about hard, patriotic, whatever, but it's not. Well, there was nothing hard about the decision to cut prices for cocoa farmers. There is everything spineless. There is everything convenient about it. There's everything avoiding taking responsibility about it. There's everything uncreative or lack of creativity about it in terms of management to simply just cut and say that, I'm sorry, but we have to do that. There's nothing hard about that. Okay. situations like this have played out before. And first time, the reason why it is the first time in the history of this country where we started selling cocoa way back, prices have gone up, prices have come down, prices have gone up and come down. That's the nature of the market. But somehow, this is the first time any government has decided to reduce cocoa price, and they are calling it hard. I'm sorry, there is nothing hard about it. There is everything spineless and convenient about it. That's the point we have to make. So President appearing yesterday to look farmers in the eye and tell them that this is what he has to do to save the cocoa sector, for me, was pathetic, was dereliction of duty, was lack of seriousness in terms of what problem confronts us and what the inevitable outcome of this decision will be for our economy and for the cocoa sector. They are collapsing the cocoa sector and they are looking us in the face and say we should accept it. So all the dance around that my brother is doing has nothing to do with hard. It has everything to do with avoidance of responsibility and owning the moment and doing with it what ought to be done, because cocoa is not like maize. I see them making these connections all along. Cocoa is not like maize. Cocoa is a regulated commodity in this country with whose history is key to the development of this country, whose continuous existence and profitability is key to our currency. So cocoa is not maize. They should stop it. They have started making these connections, oh, maize and this and that. It's nothing to do with it. Maize is not regulated in this country. Okay, it's a free market operation. If there's more, the farmer takes responsibility for that. When the price goes up, the farmer benefits. If it goes down, the farmer takes responsibility for that. So if they want us to regulate maize and have this conversation, we can. But for now, they should stop comparing oranges and apples. That's not right. And I think my brother will not continue that. Okay, now here's what we ought to do. The president came yesterday. He needed to have apologized and stop at it. Perhaps if he wants to continue to tell cocoa farmers that they will go back to that emergency cabinet meeting and bring the price back to the 3,625. That's the only thing that president needed to do yesterday. Everything he did yesterday with respect to this cocoa thing was a dereliction of duty, was an abuse of monopoly, because cocoa farmers cannot sell their cocoa to anybody.
Richard,
in this country.
Is your side not
so
over?
If the government is the only buyer, I'm Umaru. Yes. If the government is the only buyer of cocoa, and that government goes to sit in a cabinet meeting and say, because we are the only buyer, the cocoa farmer cannot sell to anybody, we will bring the price down and they can go to hell. That's what they did. And so to come and say that it's a hard decision, for me, I'm sorry. There's nothing hard about it. There's everything spineless and convenient about it. That's the point.
Richard, are you not overflogging this cocoa matter? It would appear as though there's nothing against this government. So the least thing you get, you try and flog it as much as you can. So they have explained that I can't go and buy for 10 cedis, sell for 12 cedis and come and pay you 16 cedis. I mean, that's not reasonable in the terms of trade. And yet, of everything, you are simply just flogging this cocoa matter, despite the explanation, despite the Farmers Association coming out, the Cocoa Farmers Association coming out to say that they are okay with what the government was doing. And despite this, the government saying that, listen, there's more to come in the future, so there's hope. You seem to find only one thing. What else have you found over the past 1 year that you can really hold this government on to aside this matter of cocoa?
Sanda.
Umaru.
Here's the point. Umaru. Sorry about that. I don't know. This is the second time I'm calling you Umaru.
It's okay. It's fine. I have to start printing my name on my forehead. Don't mind me. Yes, please go ahead.
Umaru.
Yes.
I tell you this. You see, we have not found that issue to flog. The NDC government knows how important cocoa is to our economy. So our insistence on it is because cocoa is that important. And in fact, Mo, we're not the only people talking about cocoa. Let that point be made, and you know that, Mo, Sanda. I don't know why you are insisting that it's MPP. The Catholic Bishop Conference issued a communique to that effect. If it wasn't that important, they won't converge and issue that. So let's correct the record. MPP is not flogging that matter. MPP is raising the critical matter that other serious players in our economy have raised matters about, because it's that important.
Okay, so what other major thing over the past 1 year happened that has not been captured in the State of the Nation? Something bad?
No, you allowed him to talk cocoa, so let me talk cocoa. Now, hold on. See, the issue about buying at a certain price and selling at a certain price, and that simplistic argument should be accepted, is lazy from the government to even make that argument. Because, Umaru, I think from 2017 all the way to 2019, 2020, thereabout, cocoa prices under us were dropping. They were dropping. I can send you the chart so you can look at it. They were dropping. But in 2018 or 2017, 2018, the price were dropping. 2019, 2020, the price were dropping. But we increased cocoa prices. We increased significantly. I think in 2018, 2020 window, 2019 window, we increased it by 8.4%. The prices were dropping, but we did that. We did again, I think in 2019, 2020, we did it by 24%. We did that. Why? Because cocoa is that important to the economy. Now, the question with that is that, okay, they are now telling us that the price continuously is going down. Umar, is the NDC telling us by that simplistic analysis that it's going down, you can't buy something less and go and sell it whatever and pay more? If that logic is to be followed, what they are trying to tell us is that if the cocoa price on the world market continues to go down, they'll continue decreasing the price for the cocoa farmer. Is that what they are telling us? Cocoa prices goes up and they come down. They go up and come down. So if you're a government worth your salt, if you're a government that takes farmers seriously, right now where you know that it's just a matter of time, the price will go up. If you are strategic, and strategic in the sense that you know cocoa, the role cocoa play in the economy, apart from creating employment, it actually also sustains our economy. It's a big foreign exchange earner country. So if you know that, okay, and you know momentary lapses or drop in the market price would rise after a while, would you be strategic enough if all else fails, and you don't want to bail out the farmer, you don't want to do anything? Can't you simply hoard? Why do you have buffer stock?
Very well, Richard.
Why don't you have, I'm coming, why don't you have cocoa board? Okay, get the money, the way you said you're going to clear off their balance sheet, get the money to buy this cocoa and hoard it. Even in my own simple small farm, Gary is in abundance now. The price has come down. Come to my farm and see, we have a warehouse full of gardens. We have preserved them. We are hoarding them. The price will certainly go up. So why would you do that instead of simplistically saying that let's pass the price?
Richard, Professor Bayo has a question. Professor Bayo has a question for you. I want him to ask you, then you can continue. Yes, ask him.
No, he should hold his question. I'll come to it. I'll come to his question. But the point is that this government simply lacks the thinking capacity. He lacks the sensitivity to deal with the matter head on. And so everything they have done is to find the easy way out, and they come to Parliament, His Excellency the President, dressed neatly in a Ghanaian attire, to come and tell us that he's taking a hard decision. He's not taking any hard decision. He's taking the softest of all decisions ever on record, because cocoa prices for the first time under him has come down. But this is not the first time cocoa price on the world market have gone down.
But Richard, it's also for the first time that we are seeing it's the first time we are seeing the cedi doing so well. The price of fuel stations are competing to reduce, not competing to increase. That is a state of Ghana that we should celebrate, should we not? Hello, Richard.
Okay, the aggressive appreciation of the cedi. I'm coming. Hello, Omar, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Omar, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
That's also part of the problem. The currency is part of the problem. The aggressive appreciation of the cedi has contributed to the misfortune of cocoa board. It's contributed, which is the reason people are saying Ghana's cocoa is more expensive. In fact, not only cocoa board, but all export enterprise in this country are suffering. They are struggling. Because one of the reasons why Gari is in abundance is that Gari is actually exported. They are exporters of Gari. But right now, because of the strengthening of the cedi, the aggressive strength of the cedi, the export of these commodities are a loss, a net loss to the exporters. So you are affecting the export market when, as a country where we are, because we need to create jobs, we need to grow our economy, you need to advance export. So the decision to aggressively appreciate the cedi, which they want to celebrate, is actually having direct effect on the ability of the economy to create jobs.
So you're essentially saying that
everybody's suffering.
So you're essentially saying that the dollar depreciating against the cedi is not a good thing.
Umaru,
Are you saying that the dollar depreciating against the cedi is not a good thing?
I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you that the effect is having on your export.
Yes, but the effect you've given now is a negative effect.
It's a negative effect, yes.
And yet, when your opposition said you were going to arrest the dollar and put the key with the IGP, which is what you are intending to do, is what has been done now, and you're not happy with it being done?
No, Umaru, you see, this thing must go beyond just asking a got you question. Here is the point. You are an economy that needs to create jobs. This is a party that campaigned on the back of unemployment, improved cost of living, and all of that. The point you are now, your export has become expensive. Long term, if you want to sustain your currency where Ghana's cedi is now, if you want to sustain it, you have to sustain it by earning foreign exchange. Now your export is crumbling. Export is crumbling. So what ought to have been done, which we wanted to do, was to strengthen the currency naturally through increasing export, because it's a balance of income and expenditure.
But you started an aggressive campaign called you started something in the agriculture sector that would have helped with export. You had rearing for export, you had planting for food and jobs, but then you had something rearing for export, which was intended. In fact, you said you're going to move us from taxation to industrialization. You started factories to production, which is essentially industrialization. In 8 years, you should have fixed us to the level where we would be a big exporter. At the end, we are still importing tomatoes. So do you have the clean hands to talk about this matter?
Umaru.
Yes.
You see, you are litigating a matter as if we are in government. We have this matter you are raising. We have discussed this in your studios, and Ghanaians have taken a decision. Now, today, in hindsight, we can look at what the NDC benefited from and argued in opposition. Now they are in government. They are not able to do what they said they would do. So if you are asking me this question, you're asking me to go back and tell you what we have litigated already. We are moving forward, and we are just using the past to contrast for the NDC to see that if what you say you are doing is to solve a problem, you are doing it the wrong way. Because why? As a country, what we're trying to do is what we are earning in foreign exchange, that we are spending, the deficit between is what the problem is, which is driving down our currency.
Okay,
now, if we want to achieve that balance, you increase your export.
Okay.
When your export increases and you're earning more dollars and you are spending less dollars to import, you will achieve that balance.
Thank you.
No, they went and used Umaru. You've been asking me questions, so let me just land.
No, I was leading you in evidence. I'll come back. I promise you. I'll give you another round.
No, that's not what you're doing. You allow Prof to talk freely, so don't.
No. I actually timed you, and you've spoken more than Prof did. Let me go to Franklin. I promise I'll come back to you.
But let me just land, Umaru. Just 1 second. Let me just land for you.
Okay.
So the point I am making is that this currency matter is also part of the reason cocoa board is suffering, because the NC, instead of doing the currency strengthening the right way, they went and artificially use dollars to dump into the market to create the impression that we have enough dollars to match the demand. That is what has happened. Instead of going the market way, if that was what was done, cocoa board will not be suffering. If that was what was done, export businesses in this country will not be suffering and would have achieved the strengthening of the city naturally.
Very well.
That way, there will be no issue at this point. Umaru, when you come back to me next, I need to talk about the economy because he talked about it. And I
gave you a chance. You kept dodging and going back to cocoa. No problem.
I was answering you. You were trying to mislead me with questions to talk about the past instead of talk about present. And I think we should talk about today. The MPP is not in government. The NDC is in government. Let's talk about their management of the economy and not what has gone before and Ghanaians have taken a decision.
I'll come back to everybody. I'll come back to everybody. Let me hear from Franklin Kujo. Franklin, your assessment of the State of the Nation address as presented by the President yesterday.
Good morning, Umaru. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Franklin.
All right. Well, good morning to your panelists as well. Richard, good to hear from you. You know, let me tell you what I think. Yesterday I was in the gallery and I thoroughly enjoyed the whole proceedings, I have to tell you. And to answer your question directly, I think the State of the Nation address was presented. I believe the president spent even too much time to present it because, frankly, the very yardsticks, if you like, the indicators that we use to measure how a country is growing or not growing are unknown to everybody. And as we speak, I think you've related to it. Some of your panelists have also related to it already. I wouldn't flog a dead horse. If we have to question the basis for using GDP figures, we should. I'm a student of that, by the way. I believe that growth should be with depth rather than this fictitious number sometimes, which tends to cloud your vision and think that you are probably doing well. But where we came from not too long ago, what I describe as Nana's House Kitchen, where there was a lot of smoke and the food would definitely give you kidney and liver diseases, must be spoken of and must be mentioned that look, it was not a good place. That is a fundamental fact. Yes, we should move ahead. I hear Richard. We should go forward, but we are assessing the state of the nation from where we came from. And I think it's important that we mention the things that have happened. Those figures are indicators, and they are not just, they may be fictitious figures, if you like, for the purpose of, if you like, questioning economic rationale, the economic definition of them, but they still hold true. Inflation may be single digit today. Obviously, when we came from 54 to 24% at some point, was hellish. And we all saw the effect. Yes, inflation may not be, of course, a single digit. It doesn't mean that it is, it is who yet. But there are challenges that we need to fix. It is true, Umaru, you did say that, look, it's not every country, it's not every part of the country that is the word I want to use is equanimity. Yeah, or if you like, equality, right? It's not everywhere that the growth is spread. Equity, maybe equity, yes. It's everywhere that you think that the growth is spread and so automatically people should be happy. I mean, there are people whose, poverty can be compartmentalized, right? You may be resource poor today. You may be electricity poor, but you may be water rich. Okay. I mean, so we can do all those analysis. What I'm trying to say is that it's difficult to see a uniform transformation because of the nature of our development in the past. Our developments have never been uniform. Politicians think in silos. They never think about value chain analysis and all of that. So clearly speaking, you're not going to see all these pluralistic development at a go. But you just related to Richard, the issue about price of fuel. There were times when my old friend Tiku was competing with Total, and it was a marvelous one. They were even giving Total, Go, sorry. Fufu and all of that. I was just waiting for them to do Tuzafi and now I've just jumped from Star to go. But I loved it. A state entity actually competing with a private entity, and the private guy says, "Look, you can't outcompete me. I'll compete you on price. I'll compete you." It was beautiful. This is a market at play. I'm a market man, right? So, and we love this, right? Now you see noticeable impact. I mean, I went to buy fuel at one point. Before I realized the fuel was overflowing, because I said I'll buy the same amount that I used to buy. It was overflowing, and the guy said, "Hey, master," I said, so you see that, yes, it will not be whole for a long time. There may be times when there'll be blips. Now that the Middle East is imploded out of Trump's stupid war, by the way.
Your very good friend, Trump.
Yeah, but you see, people think, I'm a champion, but it doesn't mean that everything is
this morning he invaded Iran, he and Netanyahu.
Hold on. I'm a libertarian, but even though I'm centrist, I'm not the type of MPP centrist, by the way. I'm a centrist with a vision and with conviction. And I'm a libertarian. I don't like wars. I don't like tariffs, because these tariffs are lazy ways of trying to exact things on people. So I don't agree with Trump on those two. I'm not telling you that this thing is done in the Middle East right now. It's likely to raise prices and oil prices and all of that. So there'll be blips. But we have to also acknowledge the fact that there's been some leadership. One word, economic discipline, must be given to Arthur Forson and the president as we speak. Look, if the president promised half of the incompetent men that my good friend Amadu put together to drown this country into a junk status, and is doing it less than 60% of those ministers, we should be kind and grateful, right? If he's doing that with all these, with all these, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you. You're live.
If he's doing all of this with all the numbers that we are still speaking with, and he's doing all of this on the back of the fact that the finance minister says, "Hey, I'm not going to do that chronic capitalist arrangement." It's not chronic theft arrangement that we had prior to my coming, where ministers were just issuing contracts here and there. You are not going to give any mobilization money to do Agenda 111, so the 100 million cedis will not be blown in thin air. You would rather go and show mettle that you can actually do the project, do it well, go and raise money. If you do it well, then I fed the project and I pay you. That is sensible economics.
Okay.
That is discipline. So look, so I'm just saying that if we allow these things to travel with time, and then all of a sudden people become so agitated that, we want everything, we want this. Well, clearly speaking, we will be on the path to Uhuru. But I'm just saying that there's been noticeable signs, even on the basis of the economic figures that we used to do analysis. None of them has the NPP been able to beat. The point really, therefore, is that, as Richard suggests, we need to move forward. But moving forward, you don't do stupid things. Richard, sorry. I'm sorry, my friend Richard.
Don't be using that word. It sounds in America, you can use it, but here, don't use it, okay?
If I thought that was in America. You don't do funny and wasteful things, Richard. What you do, if cocoa prices go down, you don't control the price of cocoa. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, if you keep telling your child that you buy a box of biscuits for the child, and where the salary is paid, and where the salary came, Charlie, you realize that the reality is that you can't buy the box of chocolate. Do you go and borrow, or you go and steal and tell the child that, I love you? So, and you keep continuing that narrative. You
find an alternative way of making the child happy while you still do the business, or?
Oh, then we can do Agbelika. We can even do Agbe biscuits. Maybe you're right. We could actually do all sorts of things in the way.
No, what you promise the child, you must deliver. Especially when this child has toiled for 1 year planting the cocoa, taking.
But you also need to teach the child about responsibility and taking responsibility for what may be avoidable or unavoidable in the future.
Even though the child has made projections, and the child here is a cocoa farmer, has made projections that I'm going to receive so much, and so I'm sending my child to university.
The child is not on his own. The child is being catered for. And again, we can get into that conversation about Cocoa Board being a parent to the cocoa farm. Something I detest, by the way. I think Cocoa Board should be broken into parts and be given just about 2% or 3% of the money that goes to farmers. That's another argument. But I'm just saying that it's not Cocoa Board that should be telling the farmers this, by the way. I mean, they take 30% and blow it to all sort of things. So I'm just saying that the economy, obviously, is the yardstick we are dealing with. And I think on that score, there's been the economic discipline, and we should be grateful for small mercies.
Thank you. That's Franklin Kojo. Let me come into Duncan Amua. In the minorities' reaction to the state of the nation, they talked about electricity, they talk about petrol, they talk about the 1 cedi levy on fuel. Then they talk about the electricity tariffs going up. And they say because of things like that, even if the CD is doing so well, even if the not gross domestic, but the bigger picture looks good in terms of macroeconomics, the person's pocket or the ordinary man's pocket is affected. You are the man who knows how this consumer thing works. Did the state of the nation, as addressed yesterday, reflect the true state of the nation?
Sanda, two things. For a section of Ghanaians, things are vastly improved. Whilst the other section, the group you would want to call the opposition syndrome, when I listen to my brother Richard struggle so much to, make a case for the cocoa sector and the issues that confronts us both locally and globally, you must appreciate that things just don't work within, but sometimes without. So opposition syndrome means that you must oppose a lot of things, even when they are good. Sometimes you still must oppose. But I think that Ghanaians have moved past that era. You should be constructive in the criticism. You should be able to offer an alternative. And when you listen to some of the things that the opposition profess as alternatives, you realize that it is bereft of deeper thinking. You were right in asking whether indeed the energy sector is doing any better under the current government. My response would be a yes. Right from the power sector to petroleum, there's been a vast array of interventions and improvements led by the Honorable John Jinapo.
They said there's doom, so yesterday there was mentioned in Parliament.
You see, Sanda, I can Google a lot of articles on the state of the Ghanaian power sector not long ago. I can Google a lot for you. Before the coming into office of the current government, you recall IPPs were up in arms over debts owed them. There came a point Sunan Asogli had to shut. People thought it was for politicking. But the truth is, if a power producer has input variables and output, right, and puts in so much, and you don't pay for what he's generating, you are simply running them aground. And so there was a time we couldn't even pay for what the IPPs were putting up, and that was leading to a lot of legacy debts. What I can confirm today is that moving ECG's generation from 1.1 billion 900 million monthly to about 1.7 billion alone has made the power sector a lot liquid. And a lot of the IPPs you recall recently are sure that they have been paid a substantial amount of the legacy debts. You may still find pockets of lights off here and there, doomso here and there. If you listen to the Energy Ministry spokesperson, he says that these are localized faults that engineers have had to track and trace and deal with. And so it leaves you with a sense of hope.
But the cost of the electricity is what people...
Sanda, I'll come there. On that, I agree with the opposition. Right? On fuel, there's been a lot of savings to Ghanaians. In fact, our numbers would indicate that anytime you do a 1 pesewa reduction or increase, the incidence of it totaling is about 4 million Ghana cedis, 1 pesewa. So anytime it's a 10 pesewa difference, that's 40 million. Anytime you do a 1 Ghana difference, either positively or negatively, that's about 400 million Ghana cedis. Over the past 13, 14 months of this new administration, fuel prices have averaged around 12. We've come to the 10s, we've come to the 11. Now, before the current government took office, you were doing about 14.9, almost 15, right? If you do the average variance of savings to Ghanaians month on month, you are doing over 1.13 billion in savings just because of the 2 Ghana difference arising out of the difference in what used to pertain and what is today. Ghanaians are simply pocketing about 1.13 billion every single month, in savings on fuel. However, on power.
So Ghanaians are benefiting on the petrol side of things.
Yes, a lot.
Ordinary Ghanaians.
Everybody,
every Ghanaian.
from industries that
every
Ghanaian living within the country that consumes fuel. Yes, there's some savings that we all make on what we could have spent if fuel were where they were. And then you say this because the microeconomic indicators seem to be positive, where you have not only the exchange rate being good, but again, the cost push factors. Some of the taxes have, been taken off. You have a situation where there's even oversupply at present that has led to the price wars you have. And so, on the petroleum side,
it's good.
Significant savings in the pockets of Ghanaians. If you do the 13, 14 months at 1.1 something, you're almost at 13, 14 billion Ghana cedis that Ghanaians would have spent on fuel.
I think I pay less than 100 cedis what I used to fill my car tank with
if
now.
Each week you save 100, that's 400 to you alone.
A month.
Yes, so if we put all of us together, at the end of the month, that's a lot of savings.
So that's on petroleum.
On petroleum. Power. On power, however, a lot need to be done. Ghanaians are spending so much on power. In fact, if you go on socials now, the complaint is that, look, you buy 1,000 and what could have taken you for a month is now taking you for 2 weeks. Yet, when PURC announces, an upward adjustment, they are usually in the 2%, 5%, at most 13%. We've never seen 50% or 100%. But if people on a normative, side are spending 100% of what they spent on power, something needs fixing there. And for that, I would challenge my brother John Jinapo to get to work.
What did they say that balance the losses in the power with the gains in the petroleum side? Would that be a reasonable?
No, that wouldn't be. Sanda, you see, you would be assuming unfairly that everybody that buys fuel is also consuming power one way or the other. You may be buying fuel, your wife may be buying fuel, right? You may be paying for power, she may not be paying for power, right? So she may get a benefit, but you would suffer the consequence of paying for power. So you may need to tweak and adjust the power sector challenges. One of it is the cost. And I'm sure Ghanaians would agree across the spectrum, both opposition and in government, that the cost of power is still very high. So something got to be done. And for that reason, I was happy when in the course of the week, Ghana Gas took a couple of CSOs, on tour to go and see their facility, what they are doing, why a train 2, if we got one, would be good enough for the country. Sanda, the history of this country is this. Once upon a time, you had West African gas pipeline, right? That determined whether you had power or not, you recall. We soon forgotten, yes. You'll be here, you are told we owe the Nigerians some 20, 30 million, $40 million. So they've turned off the valve, right? Until the coming on stream of Ghana Gas, this was our situation. We had to rely on an external supply. And so if you owe them and they were not satisfied with your promises, they turned off the valve and you slept in darkness. Now, Ghana Gas has been here 8 years, 10 years almost. It seemed to have fixed a certain problem, right, of predictability in the power sector. We are running on a single train now. When it has to shut down for maintenance, we are off. If the volumes that is required by VRA and Gridco, right, you don't get enough from Ghana Gas to meet those demands, there's a problem. And so 8-10 years down the line, it is imperative that Ghana refocuses some resources to develop a train 2. Sanda.
Where train 2 is a two-way pipe.
Well, a second of what you have, a second gas processor, a second, distribution set, so that if for any reason at all you are not getting enough to feed your thermal plants, you can have a backup somewhere. But we are running on a single train now, and I don't think that
it helps. If you are having to discuss energy security matters, I was hoping the president would touch on these matters yesterday, but that didn't happen. We will still draw his attention to it. The state of Ghana today is that you would need to plan particularly for the energy sector, because it's also a driver, right, of all the other sectors. Whether inflation will decline or it will go up, your fuel and power costs would inform it largely. I'll not be surprised when Ghana Statistical Service comes out another time to tell you what are the drivers of your inflationary pressures, the food, non-food baskets. The energy sector, particularly power, will be one of the critical areas you would find that Ghanaian workers are spending more and more of their incomes, right, just trying to keep their power, on. And
so when it comes to the State of the Nation address on power and petroleum, what's your scorecard?
Petroleum, you would say that,
or let me say the energy sector. What's your scorecard?
The energy sector largely, yes.
State of the Nation.
Energy sector largely, I would score this government about 65-70%. Largely because the challenges you had in the power sector, right? The ECG challenges that would probably lead to procurement issues. You recall when they took power containers that we were just simply procuring. Nobody has been held to account though, but I think that that system has been largely dealt with. ECG at the time was running about 73 different accounts. As we speak, they are running just 1 or 2 maximum. So cash waterfall mechanism is able to work. What they generate can be able to use to pay for, what they source or secure or buy from the IPPs. That is a positive. Unfortunately, the cost of power is a headache and a burden to Ghanaians. And I think that whilst we give the plaudits for Mr. President for having done quite well on the economic front, there are still challenges, both systemic and structural, that we will need to deal with. And for which reason, I think if opposition wants to help all of us, they should add their voices to the cost of power, not just, cocoa. Cocoa, truthfully, has gone down the world market. The government seemed to have taken, a heavy bullet, by, going down on prices. But you cannot blame them entirely. As we speak, Sanda, a quick one. The United States, Israel, against Iran. There is every indication on the wall that the world may be getting to higher energy costs in the coming weeks or months. So Ghana would need to plan and prepare for this. You saw the writings on the wall long ago when Trump started. So I was not surprised Franklin kept using, the very hard language. That stupidly there's been some attacks. Iran, as we speak, is retaliating, right? The Straits of Hormuz, where 1/4 of all global oil supplies would have to go through, is currently, under threat. And that will mean that the West is not going to get the oil they need, the energy that they need. And so you, as a country that, takes from the West and everybody, you may have to prepare and brace yourself for impact.
As the elephants fight.
Yes, the ground will definitely suffer. So there's something state of nation.
I'll come back. I want us to know how to sustain these gains. But Joe, he has said energy sector, state of the nation, he would give the scorecard to be 65 to 70%. On the economy generally, what will be your scorecard? I want to take a break after hearing this.
Okay, now it's you see, let's do 2 things. We've got to score sector by sector. Otherwise,
you can't lump it all together.
You can't lump it all together.
Then let me take a break so that when I come back, you give me a sectorial performance. And you, I will not ask you, Prof, because you are...
Prof, give everything 110%.
You would overgrade. This is the big issue on 97.3 CTFM and on ChannelOne television. I'm Umaru Sanda Amadu. In studio, I have Professor Titus Bayo. He's NDC Member of Parliament for Lambusi. Via Zoom, I have Richard Ahiagba, his Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. Franklin Kojo, President of Imani Africa, also joining us via Zoom. In studio, Joe Jackson, CEO of Dalex Finance. Duncan Amo, Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. And those are my guests in studio. Now, if you want to join the conversation after having listened to the discussion on the SONA, send me a message on WhatsApp 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996. we still have another conversation. We'll be talking about hooliganism in our senior high schools. Where exactly is happening? We'll talk about that. But when we come back, I want to ask, how are we sustaining, or how should we sustain the gains made so far in managing the country called Ghana? Please stay with us. Yeah, welcome back. This is a big issue on ChannelOne television and also on 97.3 City FM. So we talked about the President's State of the Nation address. I've had views across the table. We want to see how we can sustain these gains. And in doing so, before we took the break, I asked Joe Jackson what his scorecard was. And then based on that, I asked, what should the government do so that we keep this pace? At least the President said we're actually taking off. We should buckle up our seats, store all trays, and put all luggage in the overhead compartment, because it's going to be a smooth takeoff, but it's going to take us higher. How do we go higher? How do we maintain altitude? Joe?
Very simple. Let's start transforming the economy. Let's start, you see, all we've done is to stabilize. Now, what we should be careful about is that we don't stabilize hardship. We should be stabilizing the economy, not stabilizing hardship. So there are some core hard decisions to be made, right? On paper, the answer seems to be the 24-hour economy. But there are major execution challenges with that. And I think that a lot more attention should be paid to, even if it's just two areas of that 24-hour economy. The Connect 24, which is about the logistics. Because if one of the challenges why, for example, you can't give a really good mark on agric has been the challenge of getting farm to market. Because at Lambusie, he will tell you what the price of a bag of maize is. Go to Accra, Agbogboshi. The differential is huge. And that differential is huge simply because, number one, the roads are bad. Number two, there's not even enough movement from farm gate to market. And not enough people in the now. Our single solution to the logistics of farm produce is to turn and say school feeding program, bulk. What do you call them? But this should be a private sector buffer stock. This should be a private sector led effort. I should be able to buy 2 bags of maize, get a receipt for 2 bags of it. What happened to the commodities exchange? What happened? You see, there's so many, and those are transformational things that must be done. Some of it Connect 24, some of it Fund 24. Now, you could go on and on. If we don't execute those transformational things, we will come back a year from now and we'll be tired of stabilization. Stabilization does not mean that we are ready to take off. Stabilization is a period of hardship, is a period of hard decisions, so that you can actually transform the economy and move us forward.
Does it look, based on everything you know, like we should prepare to go higher, or it looks like we are plateauing?
2 things. There's a blueprint. For better or for worse, the 24-hour economy is this government's blueprint. You have to execute it. Takeoff is possible. Maybe I'm the eternal optimist. Takeoff is possible, but we have to execute it. And execution may mean that some things must be insulated from this whole electioneering cycle. Because some of the things, the changes required, cannot be done in 2-3 years. So whilst we must lock in expenditure control, insulated from election cycles, We must lock in some of those transformations so that the authorities or whoever is looking at it will not be kicked out in 2028.
That's it.
Because you see, whatever happens, even if the same party is in power, there'll be different people. And if you go by what happens, when there's a different set of people in charge, a new leader in charge, because in 2029 we'll have a new leader.
True.
Whatever happens, we'll have a new leader. You come as your own people, and things will change. Emphasis will change, focus will change. Part of the transformation is insulating these nice blueprints that we have, so that they can run across electionary cycle and they can be cross-party.
So we should be thinking of national development, and it should be long-term, not just the current situation.
At this moment, even if we think 6 years is good enough,
It's good enough.
Don't start thinking about 40 years.
Okay. Prof. Beo, so things are sounding nice. Sustainability is the issue. In fact, someone sent me an article 2 days ago, a post that was put up on social media in 2018. In fact, so this is what the person said. This is January 2018. JDM is basking in similar adulation in February 2026. Will nature's justice desert JDM as it deserted Nana? Time will tell. And I said to the person, let's pray for the sake of the democracy that this one lasts. And the person showed me a video of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So there was a video that was done by Jubilee House at the time when he was in his second year. And things were looking good. But then after 8 years, I'm sure the people were looking for you to throw stones at him. How do we maintain this? How do we sustain it?
Well, my confidence, and I'm also hoping and praying that we can sustain this and that things will be better. But I have confidence that things will move in that direction. And the reason why I say so is that you notice that not only are we ticking the right boxes, but you can see a deliberate attempt to institutionalize certain things, to legislate certain things. For instance, you've seen that the finance minister, in trying to consolidate and prepare us for the future, is creating a sinking fund, is coming up with this accelerated reserve. So you see that this is not someone thinking about only today's solution. How do we make sure that we can protect the gains that we have made? So on a national level, looking at it nationalistically, I would say that those hard decisions we are making now, if sustained, can take us there. So for instance, when cocoa price drop, rather than borrow money and just add to make the cocoa farmer happy, we tell the truth.
Prof, I'm told that there's a challenge with your sound. They're going to fix that. So I'll let them do that. While they do that, Duncan,
Okay.
how do we sustain the gains that have been made? Listen, we saw things in the past. People thought that Akufo-Addo was the messiah of Ghana. Finally, has come, was going to fix things. And there was a lot of applause, celebration. And yet, 8 years on, is people say he has dug the ground and lowered the foundation. What's it called?
Sanda,
the bar.
I couldn't agree with the texter.
He's a very senior person in this country.
It's something I had equally thought of, just a week ago, that in 2017, 2018, when MPP had introduced free SHS, and at a point, even Dr. Bawumia was clear that the CD had been locked and the keys to the IGP. There was a lot of, happiness, excitement, celebration. Then, along the line, some of the bad decisions, started coming in. I recall personally, when the Bost contaminated fuel issue came up, one of the first scandals that the government, had on its hands, they tried to parry, that nothing really happened. I'm told at some point, National Security did an investigation and came back to say that, the guy did nothing. But you and I know when fuel is contaminated, no vehicle or engine can consume that. And so when you push that out there without taking it to the refinery for corrective procedure, you are simply endangering everybody. At a point, our lives were even threatened. At a point, we ended up in court, police, all kinds of matters. The government cleared that one. And in doing so, it opened the floodgate for all other appointees to now do the wrong thing.
So there were cash for seats.
A lot of...
There was...
look, it was like one day, one scandal. Your network, you were reporting on the scandals as though granules that, you know, were peeling.
Yesterday, the minority leader said the scandals are going to start hitting this government. And that is starting with some big appointee who is a woman who's doing some deal at one of the ministries. He mentioned that yesterday.
So you see, Sanda, like I indicated, we are a country that, I don't know whether the scandals are a part of us or we allow them, but I don't see the current president allowing it. When I saw the JRA commissioner, the FUPA, immediately there's a change, somebody else has been asked to take over. It tells you a serious government or president who says, look, I'm not going to condone.
So there's a different kind of leadership now.
As to whether it is sustainable, that's the language you asked. As to whether he will sustain this momentum, as to whether he will continue to whip all appointees in line. Stability alone does not mean progress. There must be a conscious effort to move from, you know, stable. Things are bad, so you need to stabilize. Like in the ICU, Prof would say, they bring in the patient, emergency, you need to stabilize the patient. But you will need to have a path to full recovery. And that is where progress will be seen. One of the things that would make Ghanaians happy would be the issue of pricing, Sanda. We hear all the good things. Inflation has come to 6%. This is gone here. The city is doing so well. Yet you go to the market, Sanda. We are worse off today than the Kalabule era, where people were hoarding, you know, and then would decide whether to sell and at what price. Walk to the Spintex today. Walk to other, you know, economic corridors. And prices that they quote, you wonder whether the average Ghanaian person who works, earns 3,000-4,000 cedis, can be able to afford anything meaningful. And so whilst the economy is doing very well, issues of pricing is telling all of us nothing is happening. And so that is where, if you are in opposition syndrome frenzy, you believe that nothing is happening, but truly something is happening. The city that used to depreciate so fast, all of a sudden has gained. The city that we could sit comfortably in our offices and say, oh, by the next 3 months, next quarter, we would have crossed 20.
You can bet on it.
You can bet on it, and like joke, like play, it will happen.
Fuel price.
Fuel price that you could safely wake up and say, oh, about 21. Today has been managed, right, through prudent economic decisions by the government, especially Ato Forsen, and the Bank of Ghana governor, and Sami Jemfi's Gold Board, right? As to whether they will be able to sustain those gains for the next 24 months remains to be seen. But Sanda, just the gains alone will not be enough. If they don't go to the market to ensure that people are not overly charged. One of the things I picked from State of Nation address is the president indicating 300 buses are coming in. 100 are almost already on the way.
For STC?
I think one of the public Metro Mass.
I think it's
public transportation.
I think it's STC. STC said they were going to get 400 buses, electric buses.
Metro Mass is also working on that. So 100 is coming in immediately. Sanda, the caution there is that if it is going to be the same, method that has been used over the years, we procure Metro Mass buses, the yellow ones, beautiful, they come in. We procure 2-3 years, we run everything aground. Ayalolo comes in nice. When NPP were leaving, they even brought electric buses, a few of them, right? Sometimes they do these things to placate the public, to say that, look, we are with you. We are working on public transport. But truly, public transport will only be sustainable if the government is able to get to a more scientific point where the cost per head per kilometer is determined scientifically. So that it has not become, the trotro guy is charging 20 cedis from Circle to Adenta, right? Government will want to placate the people. Let's do 10 cedis. If there's no scientific basis, you are simply throwing in the fowl to die. Nothing will happen. So I am hoping that the government will do things differently. The government would have a strategy that is coherent. One that says that, look, I heard the president say Tor is back, right? I would want Mr. President to call the finance minister and call the Tor management to a room and fish out how to make Tor run sustainably, because that is not what is prevailing today. Tor came on stream for a few days. For some reason, it has to go off again, right? You cannot say Tor has been revamped if you don't put in the right investments, because Tor would need necessarily, Sanda, a trading capital, that one that allows it to buy cargo, one coming in, and there's another that they have placed, also coming in. Tor doesn't have that kind of capital. So initially, it was somebody's crude that was actually picked to process. If the state has an agenda to make Tor work, put in the investment.
While you mentioned Tor and you mentioned crude, I'm interested in knowing what your view would be in the wake of US and Israel attacking Iran and we saying that we may suffer. What should our bulk oil storage company, it used to be called BOST, now they call it BEST. I don't know which one is best, but yeah, what should that company do?
You see,
do we buy cheaper oil now and keep it quickly, or what do we do?
Sandra, they should revert to the name BOST. I think they are confused.
Which one is the
object? Bulk energy. You see, they forget that the object for setting up BOST is not energy per se, it's oil storage. US has Oklahoma cushioning, right? They don't depart from it and say Oklahoma energy. There are forms of energy, fine, but you are bulk oil storage, right?
You store oil.
For which reason in 92, 93, Gulf's monies were used to build those tanks, right? Gulf is trading, they cannot hold oil. But they needed a depot that holds strategic oil
reserves
for the country. Suddenly you get leaders come in and the frenzy is that, oh, we are bulk energy storage. Bulk energy storage, you may need to build solar batteries or panels. That is not your core.
But you're just doing petrol.
You are doing petrol.
And diesel.
Your
at Manu Water.
Sandra, don't be mischievous.
No, but that's the truth. But that's what they are doing. They are keeping it at Manu Water. Is it not?
Very true. And then Accra Plains Depot, the Temakpong.
Yes.
Yes, there's Manu Water, there's Kumasi, there's Bolga, there's Bupe.
So my mischief is not that
Your
bad.
mischief is up. But you see, then you wake up and they say best. Please, there's nothing called best.
Fine. What should they do now?
Sanda,
Or are they doing anything that?
I expect the energy minister to convene an immediate meeting and look at strategic stock reserve or a strategic stock margin. It used to exist. We used to call it price stabilization and recovery levy that we used to give to the BDCs when prices, scale up so high. We didn't want the people to pay for it. We had a fund that could mitigate. Along the line, we said we're going to use that money only for premix. So that money is gone. You don't have any fund that pays for strategic stock in this country. And I have said this time without number, that there's a petroleum price curve. You cannot deceive anybody. It will go down to a point. Then it will start peaking. So if you are a country that wants to plan for your people, when prices are favorable, you use some of the fund, right, to stock up. And stocking up, currently, BOSS could have done about 2.5 months to 3 months of what net national demand is. If you come in and looking to do better, you can expand BOSS infrastructure. I have not seen that happening. I am neither seeing the strategic reserve margin, being aggressively pursued so that we can get fuel and store. Mind you, in Ghana, there's only one CBM, a central point that fuel comes through. We are now building a second one, right? So if there's any inconvenience of any sort and fuel doesn't come in,
We are done.
we are done.
We have to go to Burkina.
So you will need to improve BOSS storage completely.
Very well.
You will need to go back. The energy minister should take a cue. Iran, Israel, US may not give us the kind of results we saw earlier with Iran, Israel alone. Because now Iran is fighting every US installation across the Middle East. You can imagine the trouble we are sitting
They are
with.
going at Qatar, Bahrain, and all those places.
Everywhere, even UAE, they've struck Dubai now.
Yeah.
So we are not in a certain time there need to be a certain emergency approach to this. Otherwise, in 2 weeks, you may call all of us back here to come and now discuss, the state of petroleum in Ghana alone, because things could be dire. We don't have one liter.
British Airways cancels Tel Aviv Bahrain flights. Explosions in Tel Aviv. New wave of Iranian missiles target Israel. Safety of residents, visitors top priority, says Dubai's media. And it continues. US and Israel attack Iran. Tehran fires fire. Plenty of things.
China, Russia.
They may not join.
Yes,
your sound is good now. You were explaining to us how, as a government, the gains that you have made can be sustained.
Yeah. So I just said that we should know that the consolidation has come from fiscal discipline, and then you could see that the posturing of government is not only what we would make today, but immediately they are looking into the future. They brought in commitment authorization for all public institutions in terms of procurement, and now a bill is coming in for value for money audit. Before any procurement. All this is aimed at making sure that we can streamline our public procurement processes, streamline our expenditure. And as we make gains from there, we see a national reserve, external reserve, that an accelerated external reserve policy has been laid in Parliament last week to help us use the windfall we are having now to improve on our external reserve. This is a government that is thinking forward. Again, you see the creation of a sinking fund. All these are not something that we are going to consume today. They are in preparation for the future. So I see a deliberate attempt by the president, by his cabinet, not to focus on the next 3 years or the next 2 years. Because if it was that, then he has barely 2 years, 2.5 years to go.
What about the issue of discipline? We are told that, and Duncan just made a point, that when President Akufo-Addo came, things started going bad and he didn't crack the whip early enough, and then everybody was doing their own thing, and that's how we saw what we saw. Yesterday, the minority leader said that there's somebody, an appointee of your government, who is engaging in some deal at the Ministry for the Interior, and there's a big scandal coming up.
So this, they have struggled for more than a year to find scandals, and they've not found any. So sometimes I don't know whether they are going to change the definition of a scandal. Because there was a time they say, oh, something's come up, a scandal, and you check and there's nothing. One solid year has passed in His Excellency's administration, and you found no scandal. And you see that the man continues to caution us every day, all his appointees. If you are found guilty of anything, he's not going to shield you. He's not going to be a clearing agent. And you've just mentioned some instances where, this is a person that someone's wishful thinking could get you out of government.
Vicky Hammer.
So if you see that kind of a person, then you know that you are not joking with a president that is going to be a clearing agent and allow it. So if they have any evidence of anything, they should bring out, because His Excellency has passed a code of conduct for all his public officers. He has continuously cautioned his people, and every time he meets us, this thing comes up. So I don't think under his watch he's going to allow scandals to riddle the government, for people to mess up. And those are, this is not the one who said on national television that Aba Edibo Techi and Edibo Ba. This is the president we are talking about here. And you could see that all his appointees have been extremely careful till now. Give me all ministry, department, and agencies. Some are complaining, people are not happy, they are not able to spend the way they want to spend. But that's what the president means by we should fasten our seatbelts well, because we are taking off. Taking off means that we must undergo this prudent spending. His government appointees, the man said 60 ministers. We are down to 57. Pressures are coming all over. Appoint the rest, do this. But he's moving the government. We are running.
He has had 57 since August.
And he's delivering on his mandate. So you see that deliberate and conscious effort to make sure it's not. And one good thing about His Excellency is that he's not one that practices sloganeering. So he's not coming out with this name here, that name here, then catchy phrases, and we are all making noise about it. That's not what he's doing. But he's delivering on the job. So I see these efforts I have mentioned deliberately. If look at free SHS, was a major government policy. How many years were they in government? When did they try to legislate it? When? we are in the second year of His Excellency's administration. Our flagship program, 24-hour economy, a bill has been passed. His Ghana Medical Trust Fund has been passed. It tells you that he is thinking futuristically and he's trying to consolidate these things and ensure sustainability, creating the appropriate legislative framework to make sure that they are sustained. The political answer to this is that if Ghanaians love what we are seeing and we love the leadership we are getting, and we know that there's a certain party, anytime they come into power, they take us to a new low, then we should prevent that party from coming to power.
Oh, now you are doing campaign.
No, that's the political.
2028.
That's the political aspect of it. No, because every time NDC come, we build all these buffers, we do the sinking fund, we restore, try to improve the strategic reserve, and then we give the power to MPP. Oh, we've done 8 years handover. They come and they destroy everything. In fact, when you talk to people in government now, our bigger concern is that, look, the way we are tightening our belt to make sure that things are better, it will be so painful when someone else come and see the things to dissipate anyhow. Just anyhow. We are mindful of employment. Our party people are crying for jobs.
Yes.
We want to employ.
That's a
but we are
problem.
looking at the wage bill. We want to employ.
You are being too strict on yourselves and now people
Look, even we are doing recruitment and into the security services, and they are mindful how many people we can take. We are mindful of qualifications. We are mindful of people's health and strength and all of that. We saw all these thrown to the dogs in the past. So when you tighten yourself this way and reconstruct the nation in 4 years, and someone comes and throws all that away, that is very unfortunate. So the Ghanaian who is seeing this and is loving what they are seeing, who is seeing a president that will come and candidly tell you, I wanted to give you 6,000, 7,000. But the truth is that if I give that to you, the entire nation will starve. For that sake, please let me give you this amount. That is a president who speaks truth.
Very well.
So whether we will sustain this depends on the policies the president is making, his cabinet is making, but it also depends on the Ghanaian voter. If the Ghanaian voter decides to bring about change when it's not necessary.
It's too early now to
No,
be
it's
talking about
important
voting.
because sometimes we forget. Very soon when we see a new normal which is high and we are leaving it, what MPP is trying to do is to make sure that we don't go back. You realize that when you mention Ahiyangba says, oh, let's go forward, let's not think about the past. How can we go forward without without going to the back?
Let me go forward.
So we need to know where we come from so that we move forward and we can measure
Very well.
and don't go back ever to that level. Thank you.
One thing that didn't come out very clearly on the SONA was the state of our fight against corruption. Because you see,
He mentioned it though.
he did, but not. For example,
He said though, it's not every time. He said, in fact, he said that people want extrajudicial behavior, but the courts have to be used. And he even quoted his former boss Mills and said, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they will eventually.
you see, the challenge we have is this, and I sit here carefully saying, we've seen delays, and it seems as if when I have an issue today, all I'm doing is I'm biding my time. My lawyers throw spanners here, there, until a day when the issue just goes away.
So there's no speed in prosecutions, you think?
My point is that let's create special courts. I'm not saying that they should be extrajudicial. No. Nobody wants extrajudicial. We don't want to go to the bad old days. But let's have a process that can work faster than it is working now.
A 24-hour court.
Call it what you want. But yeah, you know, why not? If we have a 24-hour economy, maybe we should have a 24-hour court.
That would
but listen, look at what Oral promised us. A year now.
Nothing.
No.
Where are we?
Let me just make a little.
No, allow me.
I have something to say on that.
You see,
finish on
the
that.
issue is this.
I agree
for
with him
a
that
lot
there's something
of
to
us.
ask.
We feel that oral was a promise.
Yes.
That you will recover all loot. And it kicked off nicely. You brought in independent people, put it together. Now we had this fantastic list of things that may have been and could not have been. Admittedly, he had to go through court. But can we do it faster? Can we deliver
Yes.
something?
All I just wanted to say is that in terms of oral and in terms of the prosecutions, data that I have suggests that the Honorable Attorney General has really worked fast. But our past and what we are using to compare, that's why the president is talking about extrajudicial. If we want to make things quicker, people are looking forward to that quick action in the past. The Attorney General makes us understand he's the first Attorney General within a year in all these things to send about 6 court cases properly prepared to court. And he's battling all of this out. And as you know, in the legal frame, people use all legal gymnastics to delay things, to prolong things. You are seeing the judges not agreeing to certain stay of whatever, adjournment and all of that. It's very difficult. Okay. But the Attorney General is working so much at it, and he is on record as the first Attorney General to process 6 cases of this magnitude within a year.
Let me go to Richard Aheba. We are looking at how to sustain the gains. I mean, that's if you even agree that there are gains. My people in studio have agreed that there are gains. Do you agree that there are some gains? How do we sustain them? If there are no gains, how do we get the gains?
Mara, thank you. Now, I feel the deficit of me not being in the studio because time allocation has been at my detriment.
Why would you
You are a fair man, Umaru. You are a fair man, so please be fair. You know, I hear in the studio.
Hello, Richard?
Yes, can you hear me?
You froze briefly, yes. I can hear you now. Proceed.
Yeah, I'm saying that I can hear in the studio the kumbaya that is being sung there, including Franklin at some points on the line. It's very striking. But of course, there was a message that you read, which then suggests that, it's a phase where if you look at Akufo-Addo's first, second, and third years in office, we were growing spectacularly at 7% yearly. And that, but for COVID, would have continued that trend. And then Ghana will not be where we are today. We're having to rebuild. But you see, I want to go back, just correct an impression that Prof sought to create to say that when the NDC will build these buffers and whatnot, and that the MPP will destroy. I just want to correct him on that. The NDC's record on economic management, okay, is nowhere close to what MPP has done in this Fourth Republic. So that matter is documented. There are data to suggest to support that position. So let's not get back into that conversation, because if we want to, we can, and then we can discuss at length how is it that the MPP performs better at managing the economy than the NDC. But I agree with you that we have seen some growth, which growth are product of continuity and on the basis of what was started, what the recovery started under the New Patriotic Party. And as I was telling you, from 2017 when we came in, the economy was in a slump. Okay, the NDC, actually the economy was tanking, and we came and reversed that. First year in office, the economy grew somewhere about 8.1%, and it grew again 6%, 6.5% in 2019. And then we have a disruption in 2020. That matter is well documented. But you see, when we went through the phase, the difficult phase in 2022, and in 2023, the economy turned around. Let me give some credit to Mr. Joe Jackson for pointing that out. The economy started growing, and that growth momentum is what has been kept. So nothing new is being done now that did not start from the MPP era. Nothing new. If you go back and see, Umaru, you will agree that policy rates was dropping before we left office. Inflation was dropping before we left office. GDP was growing before we left office. Debt to GDP ratio was declining in a positive direction went before we left office to about 61% or so before we left office. GDP per capita was increasing. I think it was at $2,600 when we left office. I think the projection now is $2,700. So it shows you the trend in growth. Fiscal balance was declining when we left office. Unemployment was declining when we left office. So what we are seeing is a continuation of a growth pattern that was attained under the New Patriotic Party, and the NDC is building on it. The challenges we have, okay, is the disruption in the forest market, which the NDC wanted to use, because even exchange rates, okay, was strengthening before we left office. Now, what they needed to do was to be responsible in managing those, but they weren't. Cocoa is one of the areas that they need to be responsible at. And I hear the conversation, even my brother Duncan was trying to say that we're not being constructive in this. But I think that they are falling into the NDC's propaganda and narrative about this thing as though that cutting prices is a smart thing to do. It's not a smart thing to do. It's not a hard thing to do. It's the laziest thing to do if you're managing people's produce. When you have forbidden them from selling it to anybody and only you can buy it, you don't come and then reduce the price because they can't say anything. You see the farmers as pushovers. So we come and say, oh, we cut it and there's nothing they can do. And you go and issue and force people in the back and issue a press statement that we are happy with it. Who in the name of God will be happy with the price cut that they have opportunity to do something about?
Okay, don't go back to cocoa again. Let's move forward. So how do you sustain the gains?
Cocoa is the economy. Cocoa is the economy. You can't talk about the economy and not talk about cocoa.
The economy is petrol. The economy is fuel. The economy is electricity and all of those things. The economy is imports, exports, production, taxation. They are all economy. So how do we sustain the gains that the president acknowledged yesterday that we have made?
I'm coming. Sanda, in the time that you are giving all of us, we can't talk about all of those. So you pick one that you want to talk about. Okay. So let's get it that way. So what I'm trying to tell you is that what they have done is actually affect the economy, largely by cutting cocoa prices. They think that we're doing politics with it, but we are not. The truth of the matter is that the cocoa farmer knows what they are going through. Because, Sanda, where you are now, if your salary is cut right now by city, anywhere by that amount, 28%, you won't like it. It doesn't matter how patriotic you are, how committed you are to city. Okay, what the government of Ghana has done is to cut the earnings of cocoa farmers and come back and sit in parliament, sit in cabinet, in high corridor, and say to the farmers that accept it. If government feels they cannot do right by the cocoa farmers, they should repeal the PNDC law 81 that actually forces everybody to sell to cocoa board, and so that cocoa farmers can find their own choices, just like Prof was saying about maize farmers, and see if they will not do better for themselves. So what we are saying is that until you do that, government ought to have been creative. Even if it involves bailing out the farmers, that's what they ought to do, because it was done in the 2019-2020 season, 2020-2021 season, when prices were dropping. The Akufo-Addo government increased cocoa prices. That is strategic. That is how come, Umaru, today, when the price went up, we could increase it because we saved the sector. But what the NDC had done is to collapse the sector, eternal damage to the cocoa sector. If I am a cocoa farmer, next season, I won't farm cocoa. Especially now that you have the threat of galamsey in those areas, I won't farm cocoa. Because why would I farm cocoa and a government by fiat then say that we are not going to pay you a deserving amount, we'll pay you a certain percentage that we like, and then I'll continue to farm cocoa for what reason?
So what will you do? So give your cocoa farm to a galamsey? What will you do?
Sorry?
What would you do if you farm cocoa? What would you do instead?
Well, may not farm cocoa again. And we see trends of that developing already, which is a concern that the government must deal with. With the options, the rational choice that faces cocoa farmers to choose between farming cocoa or doing the otherwise, which is, give up their lands for galamseyers. That's not secret. It's happening. We know about it. So you don't go and compound that problem by cutting prices. That's what we're saying. So that is directly going to affect the economy. So if you are looking for a way to sustain whatever gain that we accumulated from 2017 up until this point, then you are saying that government go back to that cabinet meeting, reverse the price to 3,625, just like the Akufo-Addo government did when they came to office. From 2017, cocoa prices were tumbling, but yet we maintained the price. And even when they were falling, we increased it in 2019, 2020 by some 8%. And then in 2021, even though the price were falling, we increased it by some 28%. Do that because it's strategic. The sector is strategic for Ghana's economy. So that's what you ought to do. And you don't just go out there and do the easiest thing and come out and tell us that that's the hardest thing. It is the most laziest decision this government will ever take. Think that it doesn't help the economy long term. It doesn't help us sustain anything. In any way, in any case, it helps us rather to collapse the cocoa sector, which then has its eternal consequence for our economy and our currency. So the export market also, which I was telling you earlier, Umaru, you have to give me time because I was monitoring the time.
I've given you enough time, Richard. I think the cocoa pod has taken all your time. I'll give you 2 more minutes, even though you have gone beyond your time. I'll give you 2 more minutes to wrap up. I want to see what advice, if the president were watching you this morning with Lordina at home, what advice would you give to him to keep this country afloat?
1, go back and reinstate the cocoa price. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to do that. Sanda, you have to do that because the Catholic Bishops Conference has advised that, not the MPP. They have advised that. So it's not my advice. I'm just
so that's 1. Go back and reverse cocoa. 2.
Yes. Number 2, give credit where credit is due. The growth that we are seeing. To sustain
growth.
Sorry?
To sustain growth, give credit?
Yes, give credit, because otherwise you are going to create a certain impression that you have done something extraordinary when you haven't. In actual fact, what you are doing is what began. And if you saw that in 2024, the economy grew by 5.7, and if you are growing at 6.1, it is because we were able to push it to where we got to, then you can expand. That credit must be given. Again, on the currency front, and then the reserve position of the country, you need to give credit to the MPP and by extension Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because the whole idea of Gold Board was born out from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's Gold for Reserve program, which has now become an institution that has been set up. Yes, you take credit for setting it up. Our brother there is doing quite a great job. So you give credit where it's due, that there's a foundation that was laid for you. This is where we must begin the conversation for. So, Mr. President, while we agree that you have continued the policies and things are going, don't make the mistake of detaching it from what foundation you inherited, as though that you have started building something anew. This is a continuation, is part of the effort that the New Patriotic Party put in after the crisis we experienced in 2022 to bring back the economy. It's a continuum, and you have inherited a good baton from us, and you're building on that. So, sir, let's do that. It is in the interest of our country and the growth of the economy to ensure that everybody feels part of it, rather than alienate some people that you have done.
Thank you so much.
Excellent job.
Thank you so much, Richard. Yes.
Am I to speak about it now, or you come around?
To speak about which one?
The corruption matter. I think you started a round also already about
corruption. Richard, but I gave you time. You decided to focus on Kokozo. Corruption there, it has passed you.
Mr. Jackson started the corruption thing, and then you excluded me because I was not in the studio. But I was just saying that, yes, I agree with the president, that the wheels of justice grind slowly. But the point he made yesterday by reference
Joe Jackson said they are not jailing your people quick enough. That's his worry. You want to talk on that?
That's okay, but the point I'm making is that the president said one thing yesterday, which I agree with, okay, which is reference to the 1992 Constitution, how it affords people the opportunity of due process and how they must have their day in court. The president said that on a platform in Parliament, but in practice, his government is flouting all those due process rights that people have under the Constitution. Right. So we should have a consistent president who speaks about Constitution in the way that he did yesterday, okay, and in practice hold those rights actually to Ghanaians. The way how people are treated, for me, was not right. And the president, if anything at all, yesterday he repudiated himself by saying that he had believed in the Constitution. So I hope that this year we will not see such abuse of people's rights, that people who are deemed to have committed any offense are branded as such after they have been taken through the process and found guilty, but not judged or prejudged before.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Franklin Kojo, your advice to the government on how to sustain the gains, for you agree that there are gains that have been made?
Well, yes, of course. But you see, there must be, Joe Jackson talks about having your feet on the ground. It's very important because sometimes when you're flying, you think you are the only sole pilot, and you probably know better than everybody. It's important that Ato is forcing, we know, but we also need to let him understand that if he goes on this path of trying to accumulate a lot of reserves, because I hear he said something like that for 15 months, it may be fine and dandy, but it's better to use the money to plug all those value chain loopholes that Joe Jackson talks about. You see, because again, if you look at the 24-hour service, 24-hour economy thing, yes, it may not be 133, but for the 133 or whatever comes to fruition, you need to invest in value chains. Which is why I like the fact that they are focusing on the water basin, that whole area, to look at that integration and do it properly. How do you call it? Shelter for storing Gary for Richard's Gary, for instance, or shelter for storing yams and all sorts of stuff, and then also processing them as well, and then giving market in the country. You know, people think that you only have to keep exporting. Even market within the country, which is cheaper, will definitely make people, happy, in spite of the fact that food inflation is going down. So I think it's important that while we want to accumulate a lot of research, and I doff my hat for Go Board, Ato, and all of that, smart thinking, whether it was my friend Baumia who brought it into fruition or not, it's not the real issue. People started storing gold since Mansa Musa's time, by the way. But I get the point that the guy wanted to do something. That's Baumia. Maybe he didn't get the opportunity, but somebody else is doing it now. But they should not lose sight of the fact that just as we decided to invest some part of our money in oil money is a heritage fund, we do that still more or less. And I heard the last time somebody attempted to even raid that money. I forgot whether it was my cousins on the other side, Richard. Maybe it's not you guys. But in any case, I'm just saying that if you go and store that money somewhere and you get a reckless government coming to power, they will ready to use for anything they want. Look, I'm not saying you should also spend what you just get immediately and spend it out of spending like there's no tomorrow. But accumulating research is important. But you have challenges. There are schools that ought to be opened. Look at this thing about patients not really being accepted because of hospital. But the life of the ordinary Ghanaian is so cheap in this country, irrespective of whether you are educated or not, whether you are productive or not. You are the same. People have died in taxis. Even our presidents die, we still don't know what killed the president. And what kind of country is this? So we don't even think about people like that. So you can just die like a fowl when the hospital is not accepting you. We need money to fix those things. We need money to fix the roads. And I doff my hat for the roads that they want to construct. But please, I would prefer a much better PPP approach than the government taking solely too much of that bill. So it's important that your feet must touch the ground. We are applauding them for the things they've done. They've taken us from the house kitchen. We are aware. Now we are trying to regain our liver and our hearts. So we don't want any contamination along the way. And that contamination must be cured by investing some of these a lot of the money coming in, $10 billion, a lot of money, invest it wisely in those important chains. The productivity of a human being is important. Invest in health, invest in education, invest in the water, and then these things would spawn development. That's all development is about. It's not about highfalutin words and making noise going all over the place, really. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Franklin Kujo, President of Imani Africa. This is the big issue on Channel One Television and on 97.3 City.